well, I feel that my life is coming to an end, and I would like my grandchildren to know what I went through, because sometimes it's unbelievable. A stranger would hear my life, they would say it's exaggerated, it's impossible a human being should go through this. It came in 1944, Achrish Pesach. They notified us a day before we should get ready, that they're gonna take us away. Where, we didn't know. And 8 o'clock in the morning, the polizei, the gendarme came. It was the most painful thing as a young girl I could remember. When they took us away, they told us we cannot take more than 2 pair of underwear and 1 dress and 1 what we're gonna wear. And they took us to the synagogue where we were tested if we are not hiding some jewelry, or we had to get undressed naked. It was the first heartache what I went through as a young girl. They started examining me from my every part of my body where there was an opening, where if I didn't hide any jewelry. So I didn't, because we knew that we cannot take anything along. And from all the excitement, my mouth was drying. We were frightened, and we didn't have a little water to drink. We asked them just a little water, and they said, "You're gonna get it later, don't worry." That was our first tragic day. What happened to us. From there, next day, they took us to the station, railroad station, and they took us into New York, but because our town didn't have enough room for all the people to put them up for a few days. We didn't know where they're going to take us. We had no idea. We didn't have food. We had water and a cup of coffee, and that's all we ate for a week or 10 days. I don't remember exactly. So the train came one day. They said, "Get up, get in line," and we had to march to the train. And they had no seats. They just like when they take the goods, on the floor we were sitting. They put about 50 people in one what do you call it? In one train, and the train got full, and we were looking, where are we going? Which way? where, to have an idea, we saw the first sign, Poland. So we knew already that this is the end for us. We went, we stopped, we got out. It was Auschwitz, Oswiecim in Polish. There was Mengele and 2 other people. We had to stay 5 in line. And with a finger, he showed us one here, one of one side and one of the other side. So my mother went with the elderly people, and she only asked us we should stay together and try to stay and be strong. How could you be strong when you see fire going up here, one side, the other side? We didn't know what it is, but we saw fire. Those were the crematoriums. So we were standing in line, young one, and all of a sudden my mother came. We were so happy to see her, and she said, I want to go with the old ones because I wouldn't be able to work. So don't worry, we're going to work for you. We're going to be together. Just don't cry. We'll be together. Don't worry. They took us to a barrack, and we were there for 3 days. What's going to happen? They gave us a cup of coffee and a slice of bread. After so many days, we had no food at all. This was our welcoming committee. Everybody got a cup and a bowl. We hoped we were going to get something to eat. But they said the food is going to come tomorrow. So it's also waiting, and we saw 2 buildings. They were not big buildings. And my mother said, do you think you know what this is? I said, I really hope it's not what I think it is. So she already knew that we know that it's the crematorium. But we passed. Following day, we were passing that thing, and they took us to a barrack where we were about 70 people there. We had a place where to lay down, and so one day was gone, and all of a sudden I heard upstairs the girls who took care of the barracks, they cleaned it. One girl said, you know, in Polish, and we understood a little bit Polish because we spoke Czech. And they said, when the time comes, they're going to take us, we're going to hold on to the wires. It's going to be an easier death than in the crematorium. So we looked at each other, so we knew that we are here for a little while and then they're going to kill us. They called it Sonderkommando. We were not able to go between the other people. We were just separate in that barrack. They had 3 barracks like this. So we saw that people were coming and they were straight going to the crematoria, to one and to the other. But we saw dug up big holes like this room. I said, what do they have the big holes there? We couldn't understand. But a few days later we did. The crematoria couldn't absorb so many bodies. So after they killed them, they threw the bodies in the hole and they poured some liquid, I don't know what it was, and they put the fire and that was burning day and night till the transports were coming. We had a job. We had to take the clothes from the crematoria, take off the yellow stars, and try if it was a good jacket or a coat. We had to put it in one place, which was already abused, worn, torn, to another side that they were torn for, they called it a lump, for junk. And that was our job. So it was 1 month. And then came June and July. All the Czech, at that time already we belonged to Hungary. It was the Hungarian transport. So that was going, so we were still alive. So what's gonna be, so they had a song, thank God for the day. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. So you get used to, after we saw the pile of dead people, from the beginning we were throwing up. We couldn't take any food in our mouth. Nothing. What we were getting in the morning, a cup of coffee, and in the afternoon a bowl of soup from the potato peel. But the Germans in the kitchen, they peeled the potatoes. From the peel, they made a soup. So my mother said, we can't eat this because if the sand is going to go on our kidneys, we're going to get sick. We wouldn't be able to live. So I said, we're not going to live anymore. So she took a piece of rag from one bowl and poured the soup through the rag, and we saw it was full with sand. And then the potato peel, they scraped it off and put it in the soup. So this is how we were eating. That was our meal for the day. And what can I say? It was April when we got there, May, June, July, August, transports were coming from the big cities. It was already finished. Then it came from other countries, but I don't remember, but it was, we saw on the clothes, they were better clothes. It wasn't just rags, but they had on their arm a star. So that was taken off after. We went to the crematorium, the same thing, the younger one were saved, the older one, they were demolished. They never came out from that. It was already, something was happening because the Germans were constantly talking and looking at papers. December, they said, we're not going to stay here. So my mother said, you know, the war is coming to an end. Let's hide. We're going to march. We're going to walk. It was December, bitter cold, a little snow already. I said, if they're going to find us, they're going to kill us here. It's going to be worse. Let's go and march as long as we can. And then the band comes. What can we do? We cannot run. We have nothing. We have no clothes. We have no... At night, they let us sleep on the ground in the bitter weather. So we were 5 in a row. So I was the first one. I was the stronger one. And Mother was in the middle. So we wanted to save her a little between my sister and me, that she should have a little warm. Something to shade her from the cold wind. We had no blankets, we had nothing. And this is how we started walking. December, January, February, March. They took us to one concentration camp. They said they have no room for us. So we had to march back on the road and march. So we were marching from December till May. Then in May, my mother realized that the Germans took off their uniform and put out civilian clothes. So Mother said, this is the end. Now we have to be strong. Let's run away in the woods and hide there. So I said, we cannot hide anymore. They are running. We're going to be free. So 5 days we stayed in the woods, and we saw some people were running away. And some people said, we don't know where we are. Where could we run? And a girl came back. She said, I wanted to see where we are. I thought we were going to see a sign, the name of the town, which is further down. But it's not too far. We could walk there. And we said, already we waited that long. We're going to wait a little bit longer. And let's stay there. stay because the Germans disappeared. The guards who were next to us watching we shouldn't disappear, they disappeared also. And it was quiet. About 5 days later, the mother says, nobody's here, let's go to the first town. There was nothing left of us, just skin and bone. Nobody believed that we are human beings. And we were the three of us, and a German woman says we could stay in the, what do you call, where the pigs and in the barn. There was a barn, we could stay there, but we were full with lice. We didn't have a shower from December till May. We didn't have a shower, we weren't clean, we had the same clothes on what we had from the first day. So Mother says, we cannot go in. This woman was decent enough to ask us to come in. We are full with lice and bugs, and we don't know from where. So let's get undressed and try to shake out all the things what we could. We had no hair, so it wasn't in our head. We had a little bit hair like this, we were shaven off. And we went into the kitchen. She gave us a cup of coffee, not even coffee, tea, and a slice of bread. And the bread was so good. We didn't have a piece of bread, but in the camp they gave us black bread. It was so hard that we couldn't chew the bread, so we had to put it in the coffee to soak it up a little bit. It should get soft, and this is how we ate it. I cannot go into little details how horrible it was. And then the woman says, there is a butcher store. Go in and ask for food. He'll see that you are so thin and there is nothing left of you. I haven't got too much and I have 3 children. So I went in and I said, look at us, we didn't have any food for months. Give us something to eat. And he says, you want to eat something? I could give you poison. I didn't say anything. I turned around and walked away. Thought he has a knife, he's going to stab me. Who's going to be responsible? He's going to say he didn't see it. So I came back and I told the woman that he said that he could give me poison. And she started crying. She says, I have some potatoes, I'll cook up. I'll wash it and cook up. I haven't got any cream, but a warm potato would be good for you. So we were so happy to have something. And then after 2 days, she said, it would be better if you would start walking, you are not far from Czechoslovakia. And she gave us a map and showed us how to go, which way. It's gonna be straight, no, we're not gonna find any soldiers or anything. So she was afraid to hold us, and we went. We started walking one day. And then all of a sudden we saw a truck with Russian soldiers. And they said to us, we should come up on the truck. They're gonna take us and they're gonna feed us. But at night they're gonna have a good time with us. And my mother said, we are sick and we don't want you to get sick. We cannot go. We're gonna slowly stay here and walk. So it took us at least 3 weeks till we got to Czechoslovakia's border. And we got there, and there was a small hotel. They took us in. They said they haven't got too much, but a hot cup of coffee and bread. And that was the best meal. And we were there a few days. During the night, the Russian soldiers were coming. He said that we should put furniture in back of the door. They shouldn't be able to come in. And it was frightening, horrible. But at least the first time in bed, we slept in a bed. And we asked them, and we told them from where we are originally. So he said, that's not gonna belong to Czechoslovakia anymore. It will belong to Russia, to the Ukraine, because they were the one they liberated that part. It's said it's still not sure, but that's what they want for the liberation, that part. And that's exactly what it was. So we went, on the way we met people who were in the same situation. We were ashamed, we were filthy and torn. It was, but as we didn't have how to go any other way. So one man said, you know what, we are not far from a city where they have a train and they're gonna take us. So we tried and they did. And they took us from the outskirts of Prague all the way to Slovakia, to Košice. And we knew, my brother used to live there, that we're gonna find somebody, a Jew, who would help. We have to be strong because we are gonna be soon at home. We didn't know where we find at home. And you know, by train, you could go from Košice to Svalava. But we went to Košice. From Košice, we went just walking back till home. Nothing. There was no trains, no cars, nothing. There wasn't a place where they would have said, come here, we're gonna give you some food, a soup or a little milk or some milk. We didn't even know how milk tastes. But bread and coffee, that keeps us alive. And we walked for weeks. And we knocked on a door in one town. And there was a woman came with a black kerchief. They killed her husband. So mother says, let's not go in even. Let's go further. And this is how we went day after day until we came to what was the name of the town? I really don't remember the name. And they said that my brother lives. So that, and we knew we had to tell my brother that his wife and children will never come home. But he was, the hope that he's going to be so happy to see us, that he's going to take it, accept it, that they didn't make it. And a week later, my brother came. When he saw us, he cried and he was afraid to come close. We didn't weigh not even 55 pounds. So it was like, he said, like somebody would have dug us out from a grave. And look at us. And the Gentile people came. He said, oh, thank God you came back. So my mother said, when they took us, it was thank God they took us. And now you're saying, thank God that we came back. But my brother said, we cannot stay here. We have to go to Budapest. How could we go? But we had something. We built a wall in the basement, and we knew our trousseau and some fabrics from the business were put in case, it's going to come to the end. In the business, we didn't have any fabrics anymore. We couldn't get anything. They didn't sell for the Jews. And so, but we needed the Jewish boy to come to open the wall and bring some suitcases and put everything in. And the next door, a Gentile boy moved into a Jewish house. And he went and called already the police that we are taking stuff. We found something in the basement. So they came, the Russian, and they said, what's going on here? So my mother says, take a look, our children and me. We just came from Auschwitz. And then we showed him the tattoo. He said, even now, they came, they wanted the rest of the thing to take away from here. They took so much, they took our furniture, whatever it was in the closets. And they still had that terrible hatred against the Jews that they came back. They told them that all the Jews were killed. So we went to Budapest. We had to get by car to a place where the train would pick us up and take us. Oh, we were showered, we were cleaned up, and they took us to Budapest. And we bumped into a friend who had a home, who found his parents' home. And he said, "You have to come, you're gonna live with me." And mother and my sister and I stood there. And it was like, it was, we couldn't find a word for it. Like from God put us in a beautiful home. It was an old home, but it had 2 beds. The 3 of us slept in the 2 beds. No. In my sister Irene, she went with a different transport, but on the way home, she joined us. So we were already 4, not 3, 4. Irene, Marta, and I, and mother. And so he brought us already food to eat. But he said, just very slow. We shouldn't eat. And he was right, not to eat meat. He brought the meat, but he said, you look like you didn't have anything for months to eat, and your stomach wouldn't take us. It's true. We ate so fast that we threw up right away. Nothing, the stomach couldn't hold anything. It was already, but we knew that we remain alive. We knew our father will not come. We found his clothes from the crematorium. They bring and they found his clothes. So we knew that he's not there. And then, what are we going to do here? We haven't got any money. We haven't got any papers. So we went to ask a policeman, how could we get some papers that legitimately that we could stay here? He said, you need a birth certificate. But I said, we haven't got. We were from where we came from. They said everything was burned. We haven't got anything. So he said, now there is a new law. If you have 2 witnesses who will tell that they remember you and they know who you are, that will be enough instead of a birth certificate. So we got the birth certificate. And from there, we lived in for 1 year. But my brother said, it's no good. They will not give us any other papers. We have to go to Prague. All right, we're going to go to Prague. We left Budapest and we went to Prague. What is the law in Prague? Well, that was enough for the birth certificate that they knew us and who we were, what year we went to school together. And then Marta met a boy, a man. It wasn't a boy, a man. And he said that he would like to marry Marta. And my mother said, but she has to get, she says, no, I understand. You have to get, put on some clothes and some weight on, and all of you, I'll see to it. And my brother saw to it that we should get fabrics. So we got already fabrics, but we have to have a seamstress to sew the clothes on. What a shame to go to a seamstress to get undressed, to be able to make. So we waited a few weeks. We gained some weight. We had food to eat. And then he said that he has papers to go to America. So everybody was happy that if she'll be in America, we'll be able to, we'll stay here and we'll be able to go to America. All right. So we waited in Prague. About 2.5 years. And then Marta's husband said, I know somebody in America who left home. He was 18 years old because he didn't want to go to the army. And maybe he could send an affidavit for me and for my mother. Well, he wrote him a letter, and he said he's single, he would like to marry, and should send a picture of me. And I didn't know he made a picture, and he said he's gonna come down, he's gonna meet me. And so in 1947, he came and he met me Sunday. And Tuesday he asked my mother that he wants to marry me. And my mother said, she's a child, she's a young child yet. You don't know her and she doesn't know you, so in 2 days you cannot make up your mind. He said, if you cannot make up your mind that you're not mature enough to get married, and I am mature enough. So I said to Mother, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I could marry, and if it's not going to work out, we get divorced. And that was my liberation. That's how I wound up in America. He brought me a lot of happiness. I am so proud of him. I just hope that God will help him. His children will bring him as much happiness as he gave for us. And I know out of one child, he gave me 5 grandchildren and 23 great-grandchildren. How can I thank God for this? That was the biggest gift from me.